Welcome back, Truth Seeker. I'm going to start out by saying shout out to the one gentleman with a comment in the live chat. That's Mr. Run Your Pockets, veteran of the community, almost always one of the first people in the chat, Patreon supporter. Super grateful for people like Run Your Pockets. Thank you to everyone who does support the work. I know it's hard for a lot of you guys to get notifications these days because YouTube has done that to the channel. Shout out to Open Up as well, who's always one of the first people here, almost always a super chatter, another Patreon supporter. We used to have a lot of people that reminded me of Run Your Pockets and Open Up, but I just don't know where they've gone to over the years. Anyhow, we circled to date and we said it's the 52 date for the month. Let's see what kind of crazy weather news hits this time around on the 52 date. We're going to look at the derecho and tornadoes that smashed North Dakota Friday night through Saturday morning and how this happened on the anniversary of the worst tornado in North Dakota history. You guys have ever read my first blog post from back in 2013? It talks about weather warfare and crazy weather phenomenon happening in the same places years to the day of it happening in history. Like it's just some kind of coincidence. And again, if you're new here, what I show is how it's all Kabbalah. All of this is being done Kabbalistically. Case in point, Hollywood put out the Twisters sequel last year on July 19th, 2024, and it wasn't put out on the 201st day of the leap year arbitrarily. But notice how from that day to what just happened in North Dakota on the anniversary of their worst tornado ever was 337 days, which is the 68th prime number. It was 68 years to the day of the worst tornado in history in the state. So this would have to be another major league coincidence if that's the way your mind works. And sadly, where this hit, I have a lot of family members that live who I haven't talked to since 2013 when I started doing this work. And if you're still out there and alive, Aunt Lori, I hope you catch this video and can expand your mind. I have an Aunt Lori who said I belong in an insane asylum for talking about things such as weather warfare. And, you know, maybe Lori's house is wrecked and damaged today, like a lot of people's property is in North Dakota. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case because this did hit about where she lives near Fargo. Hit on the 97th meridian, largely, of course, in gematria, a hurricane equals 97, and they called this a derecho, which they refer to as a land hurricane. But yeah, we'll go over everything here. But yeah, just this first piece is 68 years to the day of the state's worst tornado, 337 days from the release of Twisters, the 68th prime. And then for another familiar pattern, the governor of the state, this happened on the 256th day of his age, or also 256 days after his birthday, because it did hit June 20th and June 21st. So yesterday would have been 255 days after his birthday, or the 256th day of his age. Today is 256 days after his birthday. 256 is the 201st composite number. And remember, the last Twisters movie was put out on the 201st day of the leap year. And as I always talk about, it's the Jesuits who gave us the calendar, who standardized the alphabet with 26 letters at the same period in time at the end of the 16th century. And again, the first act of weather warfare ever admitted to was on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th, 52. We're going to go through this real quick, and then I'm going to play Brush Junkie's latest video. I made a video for her a couple weeks ago, and I left her a comment, and hold on. She did respond, and she said she had not seen the video I made for her, so I hope she does find that video because I made it a couple weeks ago. She says, I can't say I saw it. Did it go to my Proton email? For people who are YouTube content creators, you have a section on your YouTube panel where you can see people who did a at you. You can see people who made content designed for you. So if you can find that section, Tracy, or AKA Brush Junkie, you'll find the video I made for you a couple weeks ago. But you're gonna get this one as well. Anyway, we're gonna look into what she said today, because even though she hadn't seen my video, she's already finding herself on the path. We're gonna look at the video she put up today. She's been really into weather warfare since her hometown of Maui burned up. Of course, on August 8th, the anniversary of Maui or Hawaii getting the 808 area code. Again, Hawaii burned up the weekend of hip hop's 50th birthday when hip hop blew up on the 808 drum machine out of Japan, not far from Hawaii. And of course, Hawaii is the 50th and final state, and Hawaii burned up between the anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki getting bombed, not by accident. But anyway, just other things about this hurricane. It began yesterday, June 20th. It went into today, the derecho, the tornadoes. Today's the date with the 52 numerology. Today, it's the headline. It wasn't the story last night. It's the story today, now that it's daylight and you can see the damage done. But yeah, today is the 52 date for the month. What's funny is next month, it's going to fall on July 20th, which is the 201st day of the year. So you know that's going to get nasty. That's saying as hurricane season's hitting up. And remember, we just had the first hurricane hit Mexico before the month of July. And the town it landed on was a town with a 52 gematria. But yeah, a derecho is referred to as a land hurricane. So hurricane, of course, has the gematria 52, like earth, like flood, like Enlil, like when Maui burned up, it was synced with the former Miami hurricane who plays Maui, the fire god, in Moana, The Rock, born on 5/2, who turned 52 last year. And we said last year was going to be a horrible hurricane season, and the hurricanes that did all the devastation were perfectly synced with The Rock, as we covered. He's also in another movie about disaster, supposedly natural, San Andreas. And remember, we picked 2 dates for significant earthquakes in California. Earthquakes hit on both those days in California, perfectly synced with The Rock while he was 52. Whole nother topic, but stuff you can go back and witness and look at and see what the power of this knowledge is. Just like I said, gotta watch what kind of crazy weather stuff's in the news on this day. And again, if you don't count this as crazy weather stuff, I mean, what counts? This horrible windstorm that did all this damage to all these crops in this major agricultural center, 68 years to the day of this one, when it's perfectly synced with the Twisters movie again, where we've continued to show how all of these, look at what's happened since this movie came out. Just tornadoes all over the place that don't normally have tornadoes, including Buffalo, New York. They got wiped out, part of the town with a tornado perfectly synced with this movie. It's why it gets annoying that it's like people continue. I don't know how everybody in the truth community doesn't just share all this work every single time it comes around. And instead, we're super shadow banned and nobody's seeing it at all. Where 8 years ago, a video like this would have got over 100,000 views. Anyway, if you're new here, this Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words, gematria, again, comes from Kabbalah. There are 4 base ciphers of the English language: the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology applied. You can see how Earth, Flood, and Enlil all have the 52 connection. Enlil is the Babylonian god of flooding and storms. And again, this knowledge of Kabbalah goes back to Babylon. With the alphabetic order and numerology, they're all 25. Fire is also 25. And again, we said at the beginning of the year, it's going to be a horrible year for fires. There's been way more fires than normal already through this part of the year. You know it's only going to get a lot worse as the summer comes on. Again, when you run it in reverse, Earth, Flood, and Enlil are all 83. And Genesis 8:3 is where the biblical flood ends. When we make our video for Tracy, which we're doing right now, we'll again go back and look at examples like this. March 8th, a date that can be written 3/8 or 8/3. Hawaii had its worst flooding in 25 years. That date had 52 date numerology. It was the 52 date that could be written 3/8 or 8/3. Maui mayor says recent rain and flooding are the worst the island has seen in 25 years on the 52 date, on the date that can be written 8/3. Again, this stuff happens all the time, but since we're making it for the Hawaiian lady who's waking up to the weather warfare, and now waking up to the fact that there's a spiritual connection. Again, in the Bible, the first verse about good and evil is about the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life, and knowing good and evil. That is what the Cabal does. They use Kabbalah to terrorize the world. And this 52 number is not arbitrary. It's connected right to what we're talking about, gematria. Just to give you some of the key 52s. Gematria has the 52 in it. Kabbalah has the 52 in it. Etz HaChaim has the 52 in it. That's the Jewish way to say tree of life. Tree of life also has the 52 in it. There's a Hollywood movie called Gollum about Kabbalah. and how a woman gets a hold of the knowledge and starts using it to protect the people of her village, but then it backfires because it's black magic and it destroys her own people. That's why they say you shouldn't mess with black magic, because it's destructive. But one of the main towns hit here in North Dakota from this derecho. And just to remind you guys, the first time we heard this word derecho, it was in 2020. It was August 10th, 2020. Derecho, this is it right here. This is the day of the news. Derecho with 100-mile-per-hour winds moves across the Midwest, bringing down trees and power lines. The media spent the next week defining what a derecho was, a land hurricane, and how this is due to climate change. We'd never heard this term before, but anyhow, it was a date with 58 numerology. Just for the record, derecho's 58. It was the 223rd day of the leap year, like natural disasters 223. They said it wiped out a ton of corn. Corn's also another 58 word. What else would it wipe out in Iowa? But in this case, one of the most impacted towns from what just happened in North Dakota is Spiritwood. And think about that name, Spiritwood. It's almost like Hollywood. Like the wood that Druids used for magic, for ritual magic, Spiritwood. And let's not forget that the qualifying wind speed for a derecho is 58 miles per hour. Yeah. Okay, so adding insult to injury, North Dakota's establishment date is November 2nd. From that day to the anniversary of the worst tornado in state history, as well as the ones that happened yesterday, along with the derecho, it just happens to be 33 weeks into the state's age when tornado equals 33. And keep in mind, if you run it in reverse, tornado is 39 in North Dakota's 39th state. And it is the windiest state in the United States, and it is known for tornadoes, North Dakota. Party starts to wonder, though, is that organic or is it because of these Kabbalistic psychopaths? And just for the record, the plural, tornadoes, is 39, and when you run it in reverse is 51. Today has 52 date numerology. Yesterday, the day of the tornadoes, and the derecho, when it started, was a date with 51 numerology. Keep in mind, the state is 135 years old right now. Windstorm equals 135. A derecho is a windstorm, a severe one. And the town that was hit the very most was Enderlin, which also equals 135. So while the state's 135 years old, the most impacted town is Enderlin. The next most impacted town was Spiritwood. And funny enough, Enderlin to the big town Fargo is a 58-minute drive, according to Google. June 20th. This is supposed to say 19. Well, I have the date right there. I got dyslexic here. June 20th, 1957 was a date with 102 numerology. Tornado equals 102 as well. And these are the base ciphers, right? So again, we're just showing how they use the system, the 4 base ciphers, alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with numerology. A few years back, there was a crazy 87 ritual in Missouri with a tornado on the anniversary of another tornado. And they actually just did one in Selma for Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. You guys remember that? Because, hold on. Selma tornado. I think this was last year, if I'm not mistaken. For the weekend of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, who did the march to Selma, you had... look at this. The Selma to Montgomery march was 87 kilometers, right? So the weekend of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Selma gets smacked with a tornado. Tornado 87, like Martin, like slavery, like Selma's on the 87th meridian. Again, just sick jokes, right? These are sick jokes. You learn this gematria code, you see what they're doing. And don't forget, Art of War, the text that everybody knows about because of the Jesuit priest, Father Amiot, big 102, like how the Jesuits were blamed for the American Civil War that began on the 102nd day of the year. This is weather warfare, which again was first admitted to on the Jesuit order's birthday. But yeah, one more time, 68 years to the day of the worst tornado in North Dakota history. This happens 337 days from the release of the Twisters movie, which is the 68th prime number. And don't even get me started on the long history of 68. You guys don't know about my work in 1968. You've been watching the wrong YouTube channels. Imagine if every American knew about every agenda that went into motion in 68. Imagine how much different this country would be. We would have had the whole country out on the streets the weekend of March, the week of March 11th, 2020, educating about everything that went down in 1968, including fentanyl being approved and coronavirus being coined. Same year 911 was made the national emergency dialing code and World Trade Center construction began and McVeigh was born and Bush got out of Skull and Bones and Muhammad Atta was born and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, yeah, 68 is another very special number to these people. All the world wars are connected to the number 68. It's a whole nother topic. But in this case, the governor of the state, again, 256th day of his age, the storm began. 256 days after his birthday, it ended. 256, the 201st composite number, major number with crazy weather rituals, as we've documented for a long time, but a number that belongs to the Jesuits, who have a total history of 201. Again, they were created 201 months after Martin Luther penned the 95 Theses. Catherine the Great preserved the order in their time of their suppression with 201 Jesuit priests. The first Jesuit pope was the first to live in Suite 201. His name equaled 201, just like the founder of the Jesuits equals 201, and a million other things. Yellowstone getting wiped out, a section of the park on the day leaving 201 days left in the year, June 13th, a few years back. This year, the 201 nation, state of Israel, escalates the war after Netanyahu left in a 201 ritual on June 13th and returned on 12/29 when 1229 is the 201st prime. Not to mention Benjamin Netanyahu equals 177, the other half of that. And his name, he's got all kinds of connections. But anyway, just the triple overlap with weather control and the Jesuit order. And let's not forget Lyndon Johnson, 201 days after JFK died, speaking at Holy Cross, the Jesuit University, about the future of weather control. And the same Lyndon Johnson who said, "Who controls the weather controls the world." Not to mention JFK also gave the speech on September 25th, 1961 to the United Nations about the future of weather control. That was the day leaving 97 days left in the year, which is the 25th prime. And we've seen a lot of 97 business in 2025, like LA burning up on the 97th day of the mayor's age while she was out of town, just like the Maui governor was out of town. And the lieutenant governor was the Jesuit educated one from San Francisco who was in charge. And who knows, maybe she's the Kabbalistic witch. But anyway, yeah, it's the same stuff over and over. It is the same stuff over and over. And it's crazy how people don't know about the history of weather control going back to the 50s. And really, I think it's been going on longer than that. But it's been admitted to since 1952, August 15th, Jesuit order's birthday. Also, just the fact that they said the top wind speed for this derecho that went through North Dakota and did a lot of damage was 106. Notice the word prophecy is 106 and 52. The biblical prophecy, God using the weather to destroy humanity. Everything these people do is biblical. By the way, it mostly hit North Dakota, but it also stretched into Minnesota. Again, Minnesota's the 52 state. They hosted Super Bowl 52. A lot of 52 rituals with Minnesota. If you follow rig sports, you catch on in a big way. So Minnesota also having the 52 connection. But yeah, again, we said look out for the 52 date and just wait till July 20th. You know I'm going to be here talking about some next horrible, bizarre weather event. It's not going to fail, unfortunately. This is what these people do. The 52 date comes, the crazy weather comes. And I did write a book about this, Letters and Numbers, chapter I can't think of what chapter it is in the book right now, but big chapter on weather warfare and the number 52. That book came out in 2017, same year that Vice News wrote this hit piece on me. Wacko YouTuber approves World Series was rigged. Remember, not only did we call the World Series dead on way before it happened, like we've done a million times, I also called what day Harvey was going to flood Houston a week before it happened. And how did I do that? Because it was all about the 52. Again, this article is making fun of all the 52 stuff, how Matt Harvey was the first pitcher to pitch in Houston after the flooding of Harvey 52 days before Game 1 of the World Series. LA was on fire. Houston was underwater. We said, come on, man. Water puts out fires. Houston's about to put out the Dodgers in the World Series. But yeah, it's the same stuff. The quote here they're making fun of. The reason that matters is because the word flood in gematria equals 52. Houston flooded on a date with 52 numerology on August 27th, which was the 239th day of the year, which is the 52nd prime number. And it was 27 years to the day of Stevie Ray Vaughan's death, who was remembered for the album Texas Flood. Think about it. And I just love how this whole article is mockery, like because you can just imagine just the typical U.S. moron who denies things like this. I'm like, yeah, think about it. Yeah, it's like, okay, or, 100 examples before that, 1,000 more since. These people still haven't caught on. And it's why my channel's been deleted 20 sometimes, and I'm the most shadow banned person on YouTube. And anyway, let's watch a little bit of Tracy's video here, because she's starting to realize that there is some kind of spiritual wickedness going on with what's taking place in the world. And, to me, it seems pretty obvious that sorcery is a real thing. Remember, maybe we should read Genesis 3:2 before we watch our video on good and evil. All right, hold on. We'll do the old New International Version so we don't have to speak like Shakespeare. And the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life. That's the name of the physical model for Kabbalah. And eat and live forever. Again, Kabbalah. 3 pillars, 22 paths for the tree of life. This is Genesis 3:2. And don't forget what's also encoded in this. The Abrahamic religions are based in Genesis. Abrahamic religions equals 3:2. And don't forget don't forget, after we went into Iraq on March 22nd, it was like a pay-per-view event on the news, just bombing the hell out of Iraq. Military industrial complex, another one of these big 3:2s. The founder of the Illuminati dead on the 322nd day of the year, November 18th. A million other things. Of course, Skull and Bones identifies as Order 322. Bush was in office when all this was going on. Don't forget about the hurricane that was off the shore of New York the day September 11th happened, when all that energy was used to turn the buildings to dust as they fell to the ground. And it was called Ground Zero, as buildings 1, 2, and 7 fell. Terminology from the Manhattan Project. When the World Trade Centers were in Manhattan. We'll come back to the Maui thing, and again, how Maui burned up 127 days after Maui, the fire god, The Rock, premiered the live-action trailer for Moana, where the island burst into flame. Again, that debut was April 3rd, 2023. Maui turns into fire 127 days later. Like Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th in Hawaii. Like how Pentagon construction began on 9/11 in 41, right before Pearl Harbor. But this Genesis 3:2 thing. Kabbalah is the primary religion in the ancient mystery religions, which is another 3:2. So again, understand these things aren't an accident. Genesis 3:2 is the 78th verse of Genesis. Genesis equals 78. And again, Jesuit, of course, is 78. And the Catholic Church has everything to do with how we know the Bible as we do know it. The Jesuits are the current military order of the church. But yeah, let's watch Tracy's video, and then let's talk more about Kabbalah and weather warfare and recent examples.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy Derwin. Thank you so much for joining me today. In today's video, I have a couple of clips of Catherine Fitz. Now, I featured her in a previous video. She has some very, jaw-dropping comments that she made on the Danny Jones interview that she did not too long ago. And she's going to answer the question of who is Mr. Global, or who is the cabal? And the reason I'm so interested in this is because I believe this is the same entity that is making decisions for these severe weather events and fires that I've been reporting on. And she has a very, very interesting answer, but I take what she says very seriously. And when she speaks,
real quick, I just see somebody in the chat says, where can I get your books? I've made them free to download. I do appreciate when people buy them, but I always mention that I made them free to download. If you go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/Zachary K. Hubbard, you don't need to be a member. There's a search bar there. If you just type in ebooks, there's numerous times I've posted them on the free public page, so it'll just pull it right up and you can just download them there. My website, Gematria Effect.news. there's a tab for ebooks. If you're on your cell phone, it'll be a drop-down menu to get to this same thing at the top of the screen. Letters and Numbers is my first book that I finished in 2017. Well, and then because I couldn't get anyone to publish it, I ended up adding some shootings in there that happened at the start of 2018, including Stoneman Douglas, but the book was pretty much done in 2017. And remember Stoneman Douglas in Parkland on 2/14, like JFK died in Parkland from gun violence in the 214 area code. Anyway, yeah, you can buy these. You can buy the ebook forms from there, and then if you go to Amazon, Number Games is on there, and Anne in Canada, shout out to Anne in Canada. She has been putting out my first book in volumes. Book 3, she's got. Why is the price way up on book 3? Do you have control over the prices, Anne? I noticed the prices have gone up quite a bit. Just for the record, if you buy these, you'll be supporting Anne. I don't make any money off these. I gave her permission to do it. I didn't have any problem with it. I just appreciated her trying to get the word out in another way. So yeah, I noticed the price of Letters and Numbers has gone up, and maybe it's just because everything is costing a lot more to print. This is not the full book though. I think she has. I have to double check. She's got like maybe the first 200 pages of the book in these first 3 volumes. The book is nearly 800 pages long, so she's gonna have to put out more volumes to get it all the way there. So. The book I put out in 2020 was mostly trying to wake people up to why they shouldn't get the clot shot. Again, I put this out in the middle of 2020 before it was even out and explained why you didn't want to get it and why they were going to wind down the scam as soon as the Year of the Tiger came around, which is exactly what they did. Which again is why we're always way ahead of the curve over here. Can't get the other truth channels to talk about it. And by the way, Tracy, if you end up watching this, like you brought Derek Bros on your channel, I'm telling you, Derek Bros is a bozo. He's the reason the world is effed. He's somebody who went way out of his way to attack my work and say it's dumb. Derek Bros doesn't have a clue about anything going on in the world. I understand he's not as dumb as your average mental midget, but trust me, he is part of the problem, Derek Bros. And that whole outfit that he works for, the bald guy, I forget what the rest of them are. They're just more fake goons in the truth community who don't know what they're talking about. Thus, why they would ever attack my work and try and tell people to steer clear. Anyway, let's continue with her video.
I feel like the world listens. She was the assistant to the Secretary of HUD, or Housing and Urban Development, during the first Bush presidency. So George Herbert. And she's a very successful investment banker, and she's done a lot of things. She knows people in very high places. So let me have you hear what she has to say.
I mean, can you define Mr. Global?
Is the committee that runs the world. So
Okay.
There's a committee at the top that makes all the big decisions. And my nickname for it is Mr. Global. So the question is, who is Mr. Global and why is Mr. Global doing what he's doing? Because when I look at a situation, I like to put myself in somebody else's shoes. Like if I was Danny and I was doing this, what would it look like from my point of view? And so I want to put myself in Mr.
Yeah.
Why is Mr. Global doing this? What's Mr. Global's point of view? So anyway, Joseph and I went through and did who is Mr. Global and why is he doing what he's doing? So we went through all the theories, but some of my favorite comments on the internet is they'll say, well, she worked at the White House and she knows, so she's not telling us. It's like, no, everybody at the White House is not sure.
Who's your best guess of who Mr. Global is?
I think you have intergenerational pools of capital, and right now they are over influenced by a cult. So I think you have interdimensional intelligence, which is operating demonic intelligence.
Interdimensional demonic intelligence.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I think this thing about good and evil is real.
Whenever you see the people who get the views, that it's always like this, right? They have some nickname for something that's just too vague and doesn't identify anything. It does get like maddening watching this. Like Mr. Global, that's not helping us out. Again, when this country is being founded, first of all, people were escaping the tyranny of the Catholic Church that ruled over Europe. Second of all, founders warned about the Jesuits and if they came out of suppression, how they could destroy the nation. Lincoln blamed the Civil War on the Jesuits. The Jesuits set up camp in Washington, D.C., which is where the capital was moved to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You just saw the greatest form of tyranny in the history of any of our lifetimes in 2020 in the face of everyone who was part of the Cooties 19 agenda was Jesuit educated. Mr. Global. I mean, come on, man. This is a joke. I guess for all the years I've just been saying Mr. Global, I probably wouldn't be shadow banned and I'd still be able to get big views too. Maybe I'll start Mr. Global. It's Mr. Global.
And I can't find it anymore. I found it once. There were in the 30s, a British physicist got up and said, we are being manipulated, but from other dimensions by intelligent beings from other dimensions. So I think, if you study Christianity and you read the Bible, you're dealing with both divine intelligence and demonic intelligence. And I think too much of the leadership has gotten deeply involved in the occult and demonic kinds of intelligence. The White House, and she knows, so she's not telling us.
Snap, I didn't mean to hit the red button and jump on the thing, and I didn't see exactly where we were. She made it seem like they're getting into the occult now, like it's just starting. That's also, in a sense, misinformation. This nation was founded by the occult. All these members of secret societies that are the founders that are based in the occult, like a lot of them being Masons, which is based in Kabbalah, where this whole thing of Gematria comes from. That's why it's not super accurate here. Shoot, how far did I jump back?
It's like, no, everybody at the White House is not sure.
Who's your best guess?
Other dimensions. So I think, if you study Christianity and you read the Bible, you're dealing with both divine intelligence and demonic intelligence. And I think too much of the leadership has gotten deeply involved in the occult and demonic.
See, that phrasing just bothers me right there. It's been this way.
Kinds of intelligence.
The book I read, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, that reveals this, 4 ciphers of the English language. That book is from 1926. And he wasn't talking about like this just started. He's talking about the people who came over here and founded the nation. This is the stuff they were into. Again, the Jesuits have been here since the 16th century, and they didn't start this stuff. They took on traditions that came before them because they have the wealth of the Catholic Church that's conquered much of the world and brought back all of these artifacts and relics and knowledge, like the stuff that occasionally you'll get a New York Times story. Again, the New York Times run always by Jesuits. This just discovered in the Vatican. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sure somebody didn't know it was there the whole time. All right, let's continue.
Wow.
So I just read a book.
All right. I'm going to play a little bit more of what she says, but I just thought that was so mind-blowing, and it's really changed my perspective on what I do. I have been, I guess going through a spiritual awakening. It started shortly before the Maui fires. So those of you that are newer to the channel, I started this topic of looking into severe weather right after Lahaina burned. So August 8th of 23. And since then, I've just been learning so much, and, my life has been turned upside down. But I feel like I am getting closer to understanding the big picture. And I think what she says makes sense. If I had heard that even just like 3 or 4 years ago, I probably would have thought it was crazy. And I think a lot of people would have as well. But I feel like at this point in history, we are ready as a civilization to hear these things and to really think about it. And I just thought this was so significant that I wanted to share it. Now I'm going to play another clip, and she says this shortly after the one I just played. And this lends to the fires and weather. But, I've been trying to figure out, what are causing these fires. And I don't think it's just one source or one reason or one explanation. I believe there are a number of explanations. But what she says here, I think, sheds some light on, why we're seeing what we're seeing.
My name is Kate Murphy. I am the senior community organizer with Columbia Riverkeeper.
And he describes it's a exploration of a group of.
You guys realize this video she's watching is this lady's talking about a $21 trillion black budget. 21 trillion, right? Like Jesuits 21. Yeah, let's continue.
Military intelligence in the United States called the Collins Elite.
Oh yeah, I've heard about the Collins Elite. Yeah,
and they came to believe that the ET phenomena was a demonic phenomenon. It was not people from another planet. It was demonic intelligence.
It was biblical stuff.
Right. And one of the things he discovered was that, or the Collins Elite apparently discovered, is in many sort of ET abduction events, if you called on Jesus Christ, it would stop.
What?
Yeah. That's what he reported. And he strikes me, I don't know anything about him, but it struck me as someone who was trying to do a faithful job of simply reporting what they found.
There's a lot of folks in the intelligence community that publicly state how they believe that the whole UFO phenomena is like this biblical thing. How it's angels and demons, and these things can be angelic entities, and like literal, like.
And again, just about this here too. Remember Roswell 47, New Mexico, the 47th state. It came right after the first UFO official sighting in Seattle, which is on the 47th parallel. That's why the Space Needle's up there. Christian equals 47. And obviously this story was divisive for those who are religious, because if you believe in the Christian faith and what the Bible teaches, this thing of extraterrestrials and people from outside of Earth is impossible. That's not the biblical story. That contradicts the biblical story. And if you're new here, 47 is the number of authority. Authorities 47, governments 47, Republicans 47, Democrat 47, even the letters DC themselves 47, Vatican 47, on and on and on. 47, the chump, 1,047 rituals before they put him in as number 47. And don't forget, we told you years in advance they would put him in as number 47. Now he's got 88-foot flagpoles, and he takes office again at 2025. And if he lasts for 4 years, he'll leave in 29. But don't forget also what I've been saying about the whole alien agenda. You see how aliens 41 forwards, 94 in reverse? What's 94 years after 1947? The year 2041. And 41's not arbitrary to the Jesuits. Their suppression lasted for 41 years, and this country was formed in the time of their suppression, the USA, which equals 41, which is the 13th prime, and it's the land of everything's 13. So, yeah, again, expect these people work at a snail's pace, and they do have things planned out centuries in advance. And the whole 94 thing too. What's the 94 city? It's Seattle, Washington. Congrats to the winners yesterday, everybody who capitalized on Seattle dropping the Cubs to 9-4 versus the AL, beating them 9-4. And again, it was 20/6, like Seattle's the 206, and the only other team that equals 206 is the Chicago Cubs. They were the first game on the slate for the MLB on 20/6. And Raleigh, the catcher for the Mariners, had a monster game 206 days after his birthday. Again, scripted sports, scripted news. But yeah, again, 2041, Space Needle, UFO history, UFO ritual to divide spiritual belief systems. News too, right? News is another one of those big 47 authority words. Anyway, they got into that, so I'll just jump into that briefly too for a second. Here we go.
Like legitimate people in the intelligence community, whether they're still active or retired or whatever, that have been on podcasts that state they believe this.
So I am sure that all of that stuff is happening. So I think we are dealing with demonic and angelic forces in our world, and that's interdimensional intelligence. So the Bible calls it, demons and angels. Other people call it fifth dimension or whatever. Yeah. But I think We're absolutely. And I will tell you what I think is the most important thing to understand about the universe. So write this down. This is my favorite. My favorite new book is A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple.
Oh, yeah.
99% of the material in the universe is plasma. Our universe is made up of plasma. And I used to hear that David Bohm said this, and other physicists as well, but Temple's really documented and nailed it. And I'm sure he's right. Plasma is alive and it's intelligent. And that means life is alive and intelligent.
Plasma or dark matter?
Plasma.
Plasma.
Plasma. But, you know, let me make it simple. The universe is alive and intelligent.
Sure.
And we share intelligence with all life. You know, so in The Lord of the Rings, when the trees show up to help, that's real.
Right.
So life is alive. And the notion that you can take digital technology and control it centrally, once you understand that, is so ridiculous. Only a demonic intelligence would come up with that plan.
All right, so 99% of the universe is plasma, and it is alive and intelligent. So when we're applying this to the fire phenomena, and if these fires are plasma fires, then she's kind of saying that fires are intelligent. And that really kind of changes things up, you know, because there are so many things that I just can't explain, you know, looking at the way the fires are behaving, looking at the damage that we're seeing, how one house is untouched and the whole neighborhood is torched.
She's talking about like Dora Atwater Milliken, the autistic woman who painted power lines, who had the only home that didn't burn down on the block, the one with the red roof. And again, everything in the Maui fire was coded 127, a lot like the Pearl Harbor date, December 7th. But Dora Milliken, 127. Her full name, Dora Atwater Milliken, 127. Also 89, like the second day of the fire. The last name, Milliken alone, 127, and also 89. And her name does have the 64 as well, like Maui. Remember Joe Biden equals 64? Do you remember what day Joe Biden showed up to speak in Hawaii? Let me pull this up for you here. Let me show you what they did with Joe Biden showing up in Hawaii 13 days later. Let me see, is that the post? Yeah. Joe Biden showed up for Hawaii's 64th birthday on August 21st. And I guess I did a post where I just wrote it out. But yeah, Joe Biden equals 64, Maui 64. You can see how Maui's also 44, like Joe Biden, who was the VP to number 44. Yeah, they waited for Joe Biden until his 44th birthday. But yeah, this was the lady who painted solely, that's all she painted was pictures of power lines. And remember, they blamed the Maui fire on the wind taking down the power lines, which caused a fire, which spread the fire because of the winds of Hurricane Dora. It was Hurricane Dora and Dora the Explorer. You remember what they did with that? We just had Milton land on Florida on the anniversary of the cartoon Milton the Monster, and Dora the Explorer's anniversary of ending. August 9th is when the fire ended here. So just straight up mockery. And notice how fire, Dora, and death all overlap. Death is also 97 like hurricane. Keep in mind, gematria is 38, energy is 38, English is 38, Kabbalah is also 38. Again, all of this goes back to Kabbalah. Kill and Maui have that perfect overlap. There was a Hurricane Dora in the year 64 as well. Oh, the creator of Dora the Explorer, born on May 3rd, from his birthday to August 8th was 97 days, like Hurricane's 97, like Death's 97. So, yeah, it's the same type of mockery over and over and over. And I don't know how more people don't know about this stuff. I guess if the one channel that actually covered it wasn't so shadow banned, more people might be finding it out. This lady, she's been looking for the answers since Maui burned up. I mean, we're coming up on the 2nd anniversary. She still hasn't crossed paths with my channel. I don't know how many people had a book on weather warfare out before yours truly. But I haven't gotten any views since January 6th. Again, they deleted my channel over January 6th. I explained how the whole thing was simulated at Georgetown before it happened and predicted all the events of that day that would happen on the nose. And last time I got any views was for covering that. It happens. The predictions are all proven correct. And then boom, channel deleted again. Oh yeah, that's right. From Joe Biden's birthday to Hawaii becoming a state was also 201 months in a day in history. And think about how he's connected to Obama, who's supposedly from Hawaii, and Barack Hussein Obama also equals 64, like the Civil Rights Act in 64. All right, hold on. Let's finish up her video and then take a look at a few more things.
You know, maybe there is something about an intelligence that is causing these things, these fires, to behave the way they do. I did a video early on, shortly after the fires, about a community in Lahaina. It's called Le'ali'i. And it's just small.
I want you guys to understand something about this woman, Tracy Derwin. You guys, she has not been awake that long. If you listen to her own video, she'll tell you. She's like, she didn't wake up until the Maui fires. They just set off an alarm bell in her mind that something wasn't right about this. Her life was focused on makeup. Her channel's called Brush Junkie because she was really into makeup. Her whole YouTube channel was all about makeup and testing makeup products and recommending makeup products, you know, like Makeup Brush, ladies painting their faces. Her whole channel changed and her whole message changed because she became very passionate about figuring out what's going on with weather warfare. So yeah, she doesn't know everything. I mean, she's in the infancy of her journey of learning, but you know, she didn't see the video I made for her a couple weeks ago. She might not know about the feature on YouTube to see when people do a @you to get your attention. But yeah, she's starting to realize, like, maybe this is some kind of spiritual witchcraft sorcery. And I've come to the conclusion that, yeah, that is absolutely a part of it. That's part of why everyone's so dumb. They're under some kind of spell. They can't see through anything. Just fall for every obvious lie that's fed to them every day. I mean, it's pathetic. But the only way to explain it truly is that these people are under some kind of spell, and some of us are immune to it, and some of us have the ability to break out of it. Let's continue.
Neighborhood, but it's a Hawaiian homelands area. So you have to be part Hawaiian. It's very difficult to have a property in this area because I think it's $1 a year to lease the land or to lease your property. And during the fire, it jumped over this neighborhood. So it burned everything around it. And there are people that even said it was as if there was something protecting this neighborhood. And, you know, it was just too hard to explain, but I'm starting to look at fires and look at these severe weather events a little differently now.
And you got to think about what would be so precise that it could, you know, burn this and this and this, but leave this right here. Again, think about that instrument that's used in a lot of surgeries now that's super precise that our military's admitted to having, and they refer to them as energy weapons, lasers. And we're gonna again revisit laser, and we're gonna talk about what happened with LA at the beginning of the year and how the media said, oh, the same conspiracy theorists who said lasers in Maui are now saying in LA. And we're gonna see just how perfectly connected it is through gematria with the word laser and weapon. But let's let this finish first.
I don't think we can explain everything with plasma and intelligence. I know there's a lot of human intervention. There are a lot of natural forces, but I think it's a lot more complicated than we'd like to admit. And how she mentions that when people are having experience, a UFO experience, when they call on Jesus Christ, it stops. I've heard that many times with when people are having a supernatural experience or a cryptic something that they can't really explain, but something that's happening to them that's terrifying them, whether you call it demons, ghosts, or spirits. A lot of times when they sometimes will start saying the Lord's Prayer or just praying to Jesus, sometimes verbally and or sometimes just mentally, and the experience stops. Whatever that entity is stops. And so that's not the first time I've heard that, because I've listened to thousands of like Bigfoot encounters. There's also this wolf, they call it a dog man, but kind of like a Sasquatch, but a dog creature, cryptid. But I've heard that many times. And so it's really interesting to hear her say it and to know that it comes from high ranking military officials who, work for the government and research this topic for a living. So, that's the main thing I wanted to share. I did buy the book that she recommends about plasma. It's called A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple. So I'm really excited to read that. And I can let you guys know after I read it what I think. But this information, it was just so significant. And I just felt like I needed to share it with all of you. So that's going to do it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And like, comment, and share this.
All right, here, I'll drop the link for her channel. I do like the investigative work she's doing. She's trying to figure out answers. And again, she's new to the truth game, but I respect it because I wish there were more people like her. She dropped what she was doing with the whole makeup thing, and she's like, I got to figure out what's going on. They burned up my hometown. All right, so if you got here late, quick recap, and then I want to jump back into... actually, hold on. We'll do the recap in a second. Just about how the fires will burn up precise things and skip over things. Lasers, energy weapons, real things that exist on the books that your media's shed light on for decades now. Hold on, is this the right post? This is the one I want. So... the LA fire, January 7th, 2025, it came exactly 74 weeks after Maui caught on fire on August 8th, 2023. And again, 74 is not an arbitrary number with regards to hurricanes. The qualifying wind speed for a hurricane is 74 miles per hour. Look at it. Just look at weapon, lasers, energy. Look at it. Perfect overlap, forwards and backwards, 74, 88. California is also 88. The 8/8 fire in Maui, the day it began. Again, the media was saying, the same type of conspiracy theorists who said it was a, directed energy weapon in Maui are now saying the same thing in LA. These things aren't an accident. And, when she was just talking about calling on Jesus... remember, Jesus isn't the true name. It's another encoded name. Jesus is 74, like cross, like Messiah, like gospel, like parables, even like Jesus Christ. The English translation of Jesus is Joshua, another 74. Remember, English is 74, so is Gematria, so is occult, so is Masonic, so is holiday, like this nation's birthday is 7/4, like Independence Day. This is a special number pairing that so many rituals have encoded. And again, it's largely a number of killing. And again, 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents all died on 7/4. Jefferson and Adams, who both warned about the Jesuits, died on July 4th, 1826. And then 1826 days later, Monroe died on July 4th, who also had it out for the church. So, yeah, no, these are perfectly coordinated rituals. And again, if you look up the most popular video on Gematria on YouTube, it'll be a Jewish rabbi who comes up. And by the way, Jewish is also 74, like Green. They're the governor in Hawaii. But the Jewish rabbi, he says right in the beginning, he says to make it simple, Gematria is energy. And remember, the ancient mystery religions, Kabbalah is the primary one. Hermeticism is the next, most important one. And Hermeticism teaches about how everything has a vibration, every single thing, every shape, every sound, every number, every letter, everything has a vibration. And Hermeticism also teaches that those vibrations, they have manipulative power. And you're either the person doing the manipulating or you're the person being manipulated. And again, just think about that. If everything does have a vibration and everything can manipulate, and they're continuously doing these rituals using certain numbers over and over and over. Like, for example, 52 with the hurricanes. You know, you think more people... In 2021, I got a bunch of views for that, but before hurricane season came around, we circled every single 52 date for that year. And every single 52 date, a hurricane made landfall on, except for one. And on the one that it didn't make a landfall, it formed in the ocean. It's like, how didn't the whole world learn about this that year? That was back in 2021. And it's the same stuff year after year, but that was the only year where it did it on every single date through the hurricane season. And, you know, you just think about like some of the most devastating hurricanes. You automatically think of Katrina, which has the 52 and the 74 encoding. And 74 and 115, like killing, like a lot of people died from that. And was it actually the hurricane, or is it what was done after it came through? It's a whole nother story, but yeah, this kind of precision is not an accident. And the fire was perfectly synced with Karen Bass, this recent one in LA. It happened exactly 108 weeks after she became the mayor of Los Angeles. It was 99 days after The Rock's birthday. We said, look out for the crazy weather warfare sync with The Rock while he's 52, born on 5/2. A lot of stuff went down. 99 days matters because, again, directed energy weapon is 99. Oh, yeah, that's right. They blame this on the Santa Anita winds again. See. Yeah, Santa Ana wins, excuse me. Santa Ana 71 and 17, like January 7th can be written 1-7 or 7-1. Yeah, it's just, again, this is what they do every time without fail. And it's why everyone should know about this knowledge, because then they would all see through it instantaneously, event after event. And the thing that drives me nuts is just, you know, like the video she was playing, it's like, what was mind-blowing about anything that lady said? Mr. Global? I mean, she didn't say anything. She gave you a whole lot of nothing. She gave you a whole lot of word salad. Meanwhile, we're over here calling out these things before they even happen, showing you how they're going to be synced with the next sports event. Telling you how it's going to be a horrible hurricane season synced with The Rock, the former Miami Hurricane, a year in advance. And again, look how perfect this stuff is. The Rock and Helene, Hurricane Helene. I mean, look at this. The Rock was inspired by the Down syndrome kid, Milton. Hold on. There's so, hold on. There's so many things to this. That's right. We called out why Miami was going to start the year 5-0 based on The Rock too, because they're going to play in the Bay Area where he's from. Hold on. This is the part I just want to get to. From The Rock's birthday to the day that Helene formed was 146 days later. And it formed on the day leaving 97 days left in the year, which is the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech. You can see how Hurricane has the 97 and 146 connection, as well as 52, which goes with The Rock's age when this happened. 52, born on 5/2. But if you run it forwards, Hurricane Helene is also 146, and in reverse is 259, like it formed on 25/9. And yeah, there's a whole lot more to this too, just how it was synced up with the Scorpion singer, who has the same birthday as Cam Ward, the Miami Hurricane, who's now the #1 draft pick in the NFL, who played at Eastern Washington the year before, and in Eastern Washington had a horrible windstorm the same day that Helene formed. It's out here where I live, so I got to witness that one firsthand. I still remember my dad that day. I don't know what's wrong with my dad. Like, man, I tried to put down the fertilizer and it blew up in my face. Like, you tried to put down fertilizer in the middle of a windstorm? God, what? Ah! Yeah, and there's a whole lot more to this. You can go back over all this. Again, just what they did with the whole Tropicana thing, too. The day the Tropicana got the top blown off from Milton was the same day they demolished the Tropicana Hotel in Vegas. And Tropicana Orange Juice was founded in Bradenton, Florida, where they had Anderson Cooper on set all day in Bradenton. And that was in 47, the year of the first military experiment with hurricanes, 1947. But Tropicana, athletics, hurricane, just how this all fits together. On the same day, they purposefully demolished the Tropicana Hotel. The Tropicana gets its top torn off. And again, there's a lot more to all of this, but yeah, here's the kid Milton who inspired The Rock as they sync both of these hurricanes up with The Rock while he's 52, like we said they would. Every time I do one of these, I'm like, what? I never knew The Rock was a football player. Yeah, he was a Miami Hurricane. He played for the football team. The day that Milton made landfall, 161 days after The Rock's birthday. Miami Hurricanes 161. Second hurricane within days to pass through Florida. I mean, that's how perfect this stuff is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a gazillion of these examples we could go through, but here, to come back to the 127 thing with, hold on. Let's see. Remember, again, from The Rock debuting Moana on April 3rd, 2023 to the fire starting was 127 days later. So many 127s encoded in it, especially the Dora Milliken story. But then you even started to catch on to things like this. Chapter 127A, Hawaii emergency powers are conferred on the governor of the state of Hawaii, signed off on July 17, 2023. Keep in mind, that's a 17/7 date, like the Jesuit order, like weather control. And he did use this authority after the fires, but again, just a 127 in that as well. Do you remember how the death toll, they eventually dropped it back down to 102, like Art of War's 102? We talked about that earlier in this stream. Art of War in 102. Here, Maui fires official death toll. And it didn't seem like it was a real number because there were tons of people missing. But yeah, they eventually brought it back to 102, the Art of War number. And again, Art of War, if you've never read the book, it talks about how it's best to essentially fight your wars without your enemy even knowing that you're responsible for it. I mean, how perfect is weather warfare? That's just Mother Nature. That's because of the climate change. Mm-mm. Nope. Wrong. Okay, yeah, there really is a lot more that we could go over, but I think those are enough examples for now. I can just bring up the hurricane that just hit Mexico. Again, the name of the town that they said that it made landfall next to, Hurricane Eric, which landed on a Thursday by the numbers. We call it 35 Thursday. Thursday equals 35 and 46, like the way they spelled Eric. But this town that it hit, Punta Maldonado, 52. And then run it in reverse. The name of the town is 74, like the qualifying wind speed for a hurricane, 74 miles per hour. Hit on 70 date numerology. It's in Oaxaca State. Yeah, same stuff over and over. And yeah, July 20th next month, 52 date numerology, 201st day of the year. You know it's going to get wild. So again, quick recap of the strange thing that just happened in North Dakota. We said we'll see what they got for us on the 52 date. June 21st, 25, that's what they got. Horrible derechos and tornadoes devastate a lot of terrain in North Dakota. 68 years to the day of the worst tornado in North Dakota history. And 68 years to the day, here's why it matters. From the release of the latest Twisters movie, which they've synced up a lot of these weird tornado phenomenon with, to the day that the tornadoes in derecho broke out, which was yesterday, span of 337 days, which is the 68th prime number. Today, the second day that it carried into, Saturday, June 21st, would be 337 days later, or the 338th day. But yeah, 337, 68th prime, and again, 68 years to the day. And, you know, a lot of things can be said about the 68 number, but remember, mathematics is one of them, and everything they do is mathematically calculated. 1968, the year that all the agendas went into motion. They're taking place right now, including that 201-page book being published, The Population Bomb, What to Do About Overpopulation. Yeah, and again, also on the 256th day of the governor's age, or 256 days after his birthday, that covered June 20th and June 21st, the 201st composite number. Going with the Twisters movie, again, coming out on the 201st day of the leap year, because last year, July 19th was the 201st day, because it was the leap year, where typically it's July 20th. And again, also from the state's birthday anniversary to June 20th is 33 weeks. Perfect day for the worst tornado in history. If my Aunt Lori, if she survived the derecho and tornadoes, can I get back in the strawberry patch? Yeah, in 2013, my mom's side of the family is huge. She has 9 siblings. Lori's one of her youngest sisters, and she's a bitch. You are, Lori. Own it. But she manages the Facebook family gathering place called the Strawberry Patch. I've been banned since 2013. In part for introducing this information, and then also in part because at the time, my mom's oldest brother came out of the closet and admitted he was gay. And I told my mom, I said, I told you when I was young that he had like a catty woman personality. I saw that there was something wrong with him when I was a kid. I was like, I think I referred to him as a bitch too. And rightfully so. But anyway, he came out of the closet, and half of his siblings had abandoned him and said he was no longer part of the family. And I didn't think that was right. I mean, let people be what they want to be. But yeah, I dug up this photo of my grandfather, who was a sailor in the Navy. And you know what they say about those Navy guys. But I always thought it was a funny photo of him because he just has this pose. Looks like he was going for prom queen in the Castro district in San Francisco, if you know what I'm saying. And I posted it in the Strawberry Patch, and I said, are we sure Grandpa wasn't gay? Oh, man. Woo! I was disowned by these North Dakota types. Anyway, I thought it was funny. I thought it was going to help out his oldest son who was getting disowned. But instead, we both ended up getting banned from the Strawberry Patch. What are you going to do? Lori, can I get back in there after the derecho by the numbers? Or is this just another coincidence too? Lori's going to look up what it says on PBS and be like, no, see here, PBS just explained that it was the climate change. And that's just a coincidence that it's 68 years to the day and whatever you're saying about that Twisters movie. Oh, okay. Okay, genius. Yeah, all right. I rest my case. I mean, I had the date circled in advance and said to look out for what they got for us on June 21st. Here we are. Let me say thank you to the super chatters. Somebody got generous. Open up with the big 2, said share the stream. Leper Messiah again with the 5, said pony up, people. Carl Streener said storm at where I'm at in Newcastle, England. Would you look up this, please, Zach? I sure will, Carl. 5 British pounds. They'll go even further than $5 US. Thank you. I'll take a look at that before we wrap it up. And then I got to go to a wedding here pretty soon. How are you anyways? Sharing the knowledge, research. Well, we're good. As good as things can be, all things considered. Tell I'm doing the weather warfare thing about how my house burned down this summer. It better not. I'm not trying to make that come to fruition. It's just they put in our P.O. boxes out here. Fire is coming to Prosser. It's like, why are you so certain about that? The hell? Are you guys trying to manifest it? Gematria said, Zach, did you see Al Pacino? Yeah, I did. Shout out to, it was actually Big Al of all people who tipped me off to that. Of course, Big Al would tip me off to the Al Pacino thing. And did you notice that Al Pacino's 85? If you guys missed that, Al Pacino met with the Pope 52 days from his birthday. Of course, Pope's 52. And Al Pacino's 85 years old right now. Like, we got the new Pope on the 8th day of May. And what is it? Augustine of Hippo is 85 because the current Pope's the first Augustinian. And remember, I predicted that. For his sake, let's hope I'm wrong. But I predicted this new Pope will die at 85 because we know that's how things work with the Pope too. Just like how we saw the first Jesuit Pope die on the 111th day of the year, 201 days from the anniversary of the death of Saint Francis of Assisi, who he was named after, and dead on the 312th day of Mr. 88 Donald Trump, who supposedly got 312 electoral college votes. And then I forget, they did perform a 105 ritual with the Pope, and I can't remember what that is right now, but you know how they do it with these popes. It was also synced with Trump's 78th birthday. Trump Jesuit educated at Fordham like the Pope, first Jesuit Pope. And in 1978, you had 2 popes die, including the 33-day Pope who went to bed on the Jesuit order's birthday and never woke up again. And they said they think arsenic got him when arsenic's the 33rd element on the periodic table. He said he was going to clean the mafia out of the Vatican Bank. Mafia is another 33, and then he was dead. But yeah, I did see the Al Pacino thing. Thank you for reminding me of that, though, because I meant to make a post about that on my site, and I forgot to. I also meant to make a video about it, and I forgot to. So thank you, Gematria Sense. 13 Serpents, good to see you. Mr. Generous, been generous for a long time. Haven't seen you lately. Thank you. Open Up Again said she posted 2 hours ago the Global Cabal video. Wait, who did? Are you talking about Tracy Derwin, Brush Junkie, or somebody else? The Global Cabal video. Leslie with another big chip in with the Canadian. Thank you, Leslie. Quentin Johnson, 20 Canadian. Shout out to Canada. And they're burning up Canada again this year. Unlikely place for fires, but a land rich with all kinds of stuff beneath the ground. I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason they're burning it up. Notification didn't alert for live Ruby. Oh, yeah, of course, Ruby is adorable. Thank you, Gabriella. Appreciate that. By the way, you guys, Gabriella made a homemade Gematria toy for Ruby. Gabriella, did you do this on purpose or did you make a mistake? See, she's got Ruby, right? And then she's got the letters for Ruby. And see, here's where I think you made the mistake, because R is the 18th letter. U is the 21st, right? I think it's supposed to be 21 on this side, but you put it on this side. Like Prince, I would die for you, spelled number 4, letter U. 421, he dies on 421. Don't forget who told you that was going to happen months before it did. The day is, of course, Purple Rain 58. His girlfriend from Purple Rain, Vanity, died the day of the 58th Grammys, the anniversary of Prince's mother's death. But yeah, see, she did it the reduction way on this side, except for got the U backwards. So anyway, maybe you did it that way on purpose. Maybe that was for Ruby to think about. But yeah, shout out to Gabriella. I do believe it's the same Gabriella in the chat who sent this in the P.O. box. So, I'll give it to her when she's a little bit older, because otherwise she'll put it in the mouth, and I'm not sure that this one you want to go in the mouth with the painting and stuff. She might suck all the paint right off it, and that's probably not the best bet. This will definitely be Ruby's first Gematria toy from Gabriella. Thank you. Much appreciated. All right. Let's see what what's going on in Carl's neck of the woods. He says there's a storm in Newcastle on the 52 date. Let's see. $69 on this second day of summer. Let's see. Moderate thunderstorm. I don't know how typical thunderstorms are there, but yeah, if they're rare, that could be a little. You never know. I'm glad it's not some crazy windstorm flood though. Warning area has been extended to southeast Scotland, while parts of East Midlands have been removed. The warning start time has been delayed slightly and end time an hour earlier. I guess just warning for the lightning. Potentially intense thunderstorms later tonight in certain parts. Yeah, it's probably not an accident. Here. Are thunderstorms common in England? Carl, I haven't been over there, so I don't know. It says yes, they experience them, but are they common? It's not a very good answer. 200 to 300,000 lightning strikes a year. Seems like a good amount for a small little place. Yeah, I don't know what to say so much about that one, Carl, but this North Dakota one looks like a clear classic example of weather warfare. And this kind of crap, you guys, I mean, there's a lot of agriculture in North Dakota. I guarantee you all kinds of farmers are just devastated right now. And yeah, it's all contributing to higher food prices. You know, JFK, when he gave his speech September 25th, 1961, about the future of weather control, it was about how it could help out farmers and ensure there wasn't drought. And this is the problem with technology. It's a dual-edged sword. It gets in the hands of the psychopaths, like, huh, no drought. Try no crops. Let me hit the derecho button. Here, what happens if I do the derecho and triple tornado? Wow. You think we should do it 68 years? Look how we can line it up with the... see, that's the thing, too. When this... So we have to understand, like Hollywood, our government, all this stuff is orchestrated, and it's just like when a TV series comes out and they got the planned seasons, and okay, we want to end the season with this, and the next season we're gonna start it off with this. It's like they've got our news written out like that. Remember, there's that show from 1968 in the UK. What's it called? Is it called Newsbenders? I forget what it's called, but there's a 1968 sitcom from the UK where this guy gets a job to write out the news for the next decade. Yeah, for this to be so perfectly coordinated with the release of the Twisters movie, like a lot of these weird tornado stories have been. Can't tell me all of this stuff wasn't planned a long time ago. Like, oh yeah, we'll get North Dakota 68 years to the day of their worst one. And here, let me go, in case Lori didn't get blown away with the derecho, let me just go back and pull up my oldest post. Or wait, isn't it this post? Maybe it's not this post. Hold on. I thought it was this post. Maybe it's like a second or third oldest post. Hold on. Ugh. Where's it at? Huh. Let me see something. Well, they did get rid of a lot of my old posts on this website, but hold up. Okay, here we go. This post is from November 22nd, 2013. A day apart. 55 years and a day apart. very similar tornadoes in Dallas. Yeah, if you want to find this old post, it's on my old website, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com. It's called Coincidence Watch, Strange Tragedies, Eerie Similarities. The Fukushima cleanup project began on the 322nd day of the year. Fukushima. They were telling all of us in Seattle, I was living in Seattle at the time, telling all of us we need to go get, was it potassium iodide? But yeah, just a lot of very strange coincidences with bizarre phenomenon happening in the world, like years apart to the same day. And it's just, here we are, it's 12 years later. Lori might have learned too late. She could be like one of those characters flying in the sky from Wizard of Oz. Sorry, Aunt Lori, I tried to warn you 12 years ago, but you banned me from the Strawberry Patch. I guess that's kind of like my attitude. Like, I don't, like, if I found out that my Aunt Lori, like, she got tossed 500 feet in the air, now she's as flat as a piece of paper, I don't think I'd have like an ounce of compassion. I think I'd be like, well, karma's a bitch. And that's kind of how I feel about humanity, because my Aunt Lori's like the average American, thinks she knows it all. She watches the news. She thinks the news is telling her the truth. She's going to vote Republican every election because they're the best ones. They're the God-fearing party. They're the pro-life party. The only life they care about is the unborn. But, yeah, if you're out there, Aunt Lori, if you're out there, that'd be a great show. If I get her on the live stream. So much she didn't blow away last night. Anyway, yeah, we do have a wedding to go to. I'm going to leave it there for now. Thanks to everyone who hits the like and the share. Do appreciate all the support. And the damn shame is we hardly have anybody watching the live stream. Not even 200 people in here, man. And that's what annoys me too. Like, I haven't been able to get any views on here, and then finally the X thing's taken off. We're getting 2,000 people per live stream on X, and then boom, X is deleted on January 27th, 7 days after the chump takes office. A reminder that my very first YouTube channel was deleted on Elon Musk's birthday, June 28, 2017. And again, lost about 20 YouTube channels by the end of Trump's first term was over. All right. Thanks again to everyone who's liking the share. When the video's over, if you guys don't mind leaving a comment, not here in the live chat comment, but just like a one-word comment, it helps the algorithm, at least so we're told. And like I said, you guys, here, just to go over one more thing, you guys have been leaving more comments, and it's not like my views have gotten great, but they are doing better. Again, look at a lot of these recent lives. 6.5, that's pretty good for this channel now. I mean, not good, but it's a lot better. 4.4 is not bad. 5.7, 5.9, 4.7. The one for you, Brush Junkie, was right here 10 days ago. Didn't get that many views. 5.1, 4.5. You guys remember I was writing a book on Lahaina? I was like 50 pages into it, and then all of a sudden, like, it was just gone and nobody talked about it anymore. I thought it was like the event that was going to stick around, and then United States of Amnesia, once they took it out of the news, just nobody cared. I have a lot of unwritten work for the next book, but yeah, I have quite a bit typed up on the Lahaina ritual. I guess I could even just put it out as a short book from what I did write up about it. But yeah, it has been these recent days. I really started talking about this in the What's the Next Move video, you guys leaving comments, and you can see that the live stream views are a bit better, and I think that is because you guys have been leaving comments. So before that, a lot of things between like 3 and 4.5. The basketball one had to get 5K because sports are the most important. The Pope thing's got more because there's so many good Catholics in the world. But yeah, this channel, nothing's gotten good views. But yeah, I have seen a little bit better So thank you to everyone who is leaving a comment. I think that's definitely helping out. All right, I'm out of here. Have a great day. Until next time, Truth Seeker.